Yeah.
Oh, I just.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Steve has the packets.
Oh, Tracy.
Oh, Tracy has one. Sorry. Yeah, who's this over here? Is that Richard's stuff? Sorry. Yeah, that's Richard. You can
Yeah.
sit here. No, it's okay.
I think they're actually signing.
The resolution or whatever. Oh, I don't need to. You already have one, Jimena. I have one. Okay. Oh, sorry. It's fine. You're fine. I didn't bring. I wanted to bring my paper mask. I rushed. Yeah, it was like she went home on Friday night and I slept for like 3 days.
Under it.
How are you, Jesse? Thank you. I think they're signing the.
Let's give them a minute. Yeah, Richard? Yeah. Oh, I see Andrew's on.
Oh, yeah.
Here he is.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, wait, okay.
Yeah, sorry, are we all right?
Look for Richard.
Yeah, thank you.
Follow along.
Read the first one. Yeah.
You okay?
Okay, good evening. Notice of the time, date, location, and agenda of this meeting, to the extent known, was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner pursuant to the provisions of NJSA 10-4-6, the Open Public Meetings Act, by posting such notice in Town Hall and the township's website, by notification to newspapers on December 23rd, 2020 of the schedule for 2021, and by providing notice to the township clerk. A change of time to 6:30 p.m. was provided to the item Star Ledger and Tap on August 20th, 2021. I'd like to ask for a motion to appoint a temporary chair, Stephen Weiner, since Michael is out this evening. Their motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, so we're going to do a roll call vote on that. Jumana Culligan.
Yes.
Nadej Nickel,
Yes.
Tracy Katz Levine, me, yes. Andrew Morgan,
Yes.
and does Stephen vote for himself? No. Okay. And Richard Wasserman.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Okay. Good. All right.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, thank you. Tracy, roll call, please.
Yeah, Jumana Culligan here. Tracy Katz Levine here. Andrew Morgan,
Here.
Nadej Nickel,
Here.
Richard Wasserman,
Here.
Stephen Weiner,
Here.
and our non-voting members, Alex McDonald is not here, and Jackie Benjamin Lieberberg is not here this evening due to a conflict.
Okay, thank you. So just to read our Sid Mission Statement, as we do during every meeting. The purpose of the Special Improvement District is to promote, grow, and support local businesses, property owners, residents, and visitors. Millburn Township SID ordinance designates a new district management corporation whose mission is to encourage the economic, cultural, and social vitality of Millburn Township through increased marketing and visibility, improved and renewed infrastructure, and local business development and engagement. So that's next we move to the approval of minutes.
Okay, I want to note that there is a quorum for tonight. And then attached were the minutes for the August 12th meeting. And and the associated resolutions. If there were no questions, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Great.
A voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. That moves us to the public comments portion of the meeting. When invited to speak, come to the lectern, clearly state your name and address, and speak into the podium microphone so that your comments can be understood by all and properly recorded. Whenever an audience or committee member reads from a prepared statement, please provide a copy to Tracy at exploremillburnshorthills.org. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Members of the public who wish to participate in the meetings may do so in person with possible occupancy limitations or electronically by phone or computer via Zoom, which I see we do have a few participants on Zoom. Individuals calling in will be able to fully participate in the meeting during the appropriate public comment periods. So let's start with people in the room. Mr. Feld.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Feld, local resident at 11 Alexander Lane, Short Hills, New Jersey. I'm not going to repeat what I said 15 minutes ago. But I wish Alex was here because I have a question that's still outstanding about certain comments that were made about me by the secretary. I'm waiting for response. But since the last meeting, many of you I had to bring you up to speed as to litigation. Do not underestimate the litigation challenging the validity of this expanded appointed 5-district SID under state law. The judge, civil judge, has to set it down for oral argument. You should not dispute that. Do not underestimate the Judge Gardner has scheduled a special case management conference in the Fair Share Housing Litigation Settlement. That's going to be open to the public, probably to discuss the validity of the agreement and as to notice. I do want to say on the record, I thank this body because you allowed the public to speak before you consider and take public official action, which is different than the body that sat before you about 15 minutes ago. That's very key. In addition, I don't know many people in this town understand that in the litigation that I filed challenging certain things about whether you have the right to speak, reflects parking removal. The ministerial default was entered against the township and all the individual public officials. The township has obtained substitute counsel that this law firm is no longer representing them. So when I talk about legal issues, it's very important to obtain opinions. At the last September 1st City Council meeting, there was an appointment of a special body regarding the redevelopment of downtown. Important to that resolution, there was a specific provision talking about that the municipal attorney would be the legal advisor to that group. As of this date, I am aware of no legal opinion ever being delivered to this township or any body regarding the validity of this entity under state law. I just say that as a loud and clear warning, as our governor would say.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room? All right. Next.
Vicky Powell, 358C Millburn Avenue. I wanted to take the time to thank you. When Hurricane Ida hit, Explore Millburn went into action to help the business community. I was at my store at 6:45 a.m. and I think around 7 a.m. I saw Steve and Alex walking downtown, checking on the damage and seeing how they go into action. Steve had communicated and checked on us through the day, handed out info, asking what we need, etc. So my point to saying this is everyone who says the SID isn't necessary and such, you're wrong. This catastrophe shows us the importance of the SID, how they mobilized with the volunteers, how they helped clean up, how they said what business needs what, and more importantly, they arranged a relief fund. I can't thank you enough. Now, I also wanted to point out, this is my third flood. I didn't suffer as much loss as I had from the other two. but I really don't want to spend money fixing a floor that after I just moved into a year ago, I put down. Obviously, there's a problem, and this organization has to push for some kind of change, whatever, because I've been hearing years, the Army Corps engineering, something needs to change because these businesses can't keep suffering all these losses. It's just insurmountable, whatever the word is, but it's just too much. So we have to join because the residents were affected, the business, we have to all join together. We got to come up with an answer because it can't keep happening. I also wanted to say, I see the events, some new events coming up, looking forward to seeing more. Keep it up. And also, can we get some social word out in Millburn is open for business, especially now that the street that's being paved right now, we have parking, the downtown will be open, the 5 districts are open, come support Millburn Short Hills. So thank you again.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room? Okay. Okay, how about on the phone, on Zoom? I think I see one raised hand. Is that? Ms.
Good evening.
Urso, can you hear us?
Yes, Perry Urso, referred as the Avenger. Isn't that right, Mr. Grillo? As you are all fiduciaries of the public trust, you should take time and examine the documents within the packet. Banners, where are the majority of the flags being placed? In accordance to your packet, allocations are as follows. Designated 13 Upper Millburn Avenue, 8 Wyoming Business District, 5 Short Hill Station, 0 Morris Turnpike, and for which 40 favors downtown by 60%. Additionally, regarding your Explore Refresh program, I ask, why is this organization taking responsibility for normal expected business expenses, such as signage, planters, furniture, etc.? Shouldn't these be considered ordinary business expenses? Where does the responsibility of business owners lie? So if you're just looking to spend the sum of $10,000, $7,750 allocated for downtown businesses, $1,400 allocated for Upper Millburn Avenue businesses, $1,000 allocated for Chatham Road businesses, and $0 allocated for 2 other districts, with the exception of the separate streetscape aesthetic improvement taking place on Morris Turnpike. Again, a majority of the funds favor downtown. Would it be wise to take the funds and distribute it equally amongst the 5 districts in the amount of $2,000 per district? Additionally, regarding your event on Sunday, we stressed our concerns regarding the street's closures due to the scheduled catering event being held at the restaurant. And I was relieved to learn that Millburn Avenue on Upper Millburn Avenue will remain open, unlike previously held events. In the past, I've called the BA informing them of events being held at our restaurant during normal business hours, and if they would be mindful of parking, but not exempting our guests to pay, but extend a courtesy for overstaying their meters. He always has been kind to this request. And fortunately, our exchanges with the executive director have not been handled so pleasingly. His response to situations brought to his attention have been nothing but unprofessional, and not once has anyone reached out to us during this planning process. You are all on these email exchanges, so kindly handle this matter in a more professional manner. Lastly, the executive director continues to defend the lack of acknowledgement to our business. The closest the executive director got to our establishment during Ida on Upper Millburn Avenue was underneath, ironically, the Upper Millburn Avenue sign, which I will be emailing you later on after my phone call. While my husband, what neighbors do, was caring not only for our own properties.
Is there,
but
so
he
you could wrap it up,
was
please?
helping our neighbors. Yes, one moment, Mr. Pellavecchio. The executive director, just walked on by. In regards to a conversation on
Thank you. Your time's up, ma'am.
The facts are the facts. And it's my understanding that Mr. Grillo was not only
So you got to wrap it up,
at
please.
the time of the post of April 25th. It was brought to our attention
Thank you. We're gonna have to move
Brought
on.
to the
You're
attention of
far
the
beyond the
board.
time now. Thank you. I think I see, I guess, Ms. Stone. Would you like to speak? Nancy, can you hear us?
Hello?
Explore Millburn.
Yes,
We're on
I'm,
Millburn.
hello? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
Ms. Stone, can you hear us?
All right, hold on one second because my phone is on low. All right, I was sad to see that Perry was cut off, but unfortunately, that's the way it goes. I wanted to just give a compliment to the people, Alex McDonald specifically, who jumped out of his chair. I was at the TC meeting that night when the so-called mayor decided not to call the meeting. I asked her boyfriend, is she going to call the meeting? And he goes, I don't know, I think so. And the next thing you know, we went into public comment while the town was about to be flooded out like from hell with no fury. With that, we had one session, one public comment that was made, which we needed to get the hell out of there. Diane Eglo had the sense to, be nervous about getting out and was really rude about it, but she was right. We needed to get the hell out of there really fast. And all I saw was the mayor jump into her car, the so-called mayor, because I don't consider her my mayor, and jumps into the car and abandons all the people left in town hall with no idea on how we were going to get home, considering I live in the Poet section where White Oak Ridge was flooded. So the glory goes to the people that were on the ground, Alex, who I know was there quite late from what I understand, and Christine Gotti, and the people who got home by the grace of God. It was just unbelievable. And I thank God every day that I made it home safe. With that said, I'm concerned. I'm happy that people are donating. David and I have been taking more of an approach on the residents approach and donating clothes and wipes and all the things to the people on Ridgewood and helping as much as we can with the residents. The businesses seem to have a lot of help on the street, which was incredible. I did walk the street the day after, helping, getting water bottles to people and, just getting as much supplies as we can to help out because it was a devastation like no other. I want to question how that money is going to be distributed. I'd like to know if there's going to be a committee, and Steve, I'd like to be involved in that if I can, to know how that money is going to be distributed, because I think that really needs to be done very, very carefully to people who do need it and who need to really rebuild. Basilico, 3-4 times already, this is just outrageous. And 10 years ago, they supposedly fixed the problem. But, the town does not listen. We've sent pictures with that car should not have gone over. If the cars were not parked in the back, maybe those dumpsters wouldn't have made it over if they were behind the proper buildings and attached somehow. It has to be thought about for the future. Learn from your mistakes, learn from the lessons and correct them for the future, because this will happen again. It doesn't seem like the problem is ever going away. I've been here in town over 30 years, and this was the worst that I've ever seen it. So please be proactive, learn from the mistakes, and move forward with positive
Ms.
change.
Stone, your time's up. So thank you very much. And anybody else? We have one more person in the room here like to speak.
Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. Okay. So Jean Pasternak, 342 Hobart Avenue. I just want to add a little bit of explanation, I think, to why there's some heightened feelings. Everybody's really impressed with our community. Everybody's done such an outstanding job, and we do appreciate all the work done by our professionals, especially with Alex's leadership. I know, Steve, you did contribute quite a bit, and I'm glad that you noted that for everybody. But I have to say, just having been downtown in that area and actually running into Steve, I mentioned to him, it's important to get up to Upper Millburn. There are people up there, some new businesses and old businesses that were struggling. He said he would, and he did. But he is avoiding the business and the owner that came online. I think that's just ridiculous. These people have been in the town for 25 plus years. they've gone out of their way to really help other businesses up there. I mean, even ones where there's obviously friction, they still like just dropped everything and took equipment and everything over there. And I saw that with my own eyes. And it's just really hard to see that, you know? So yes, we take out our little spats on social media. It's not appropriate. It's unprofessional. I apologize for my part of that, but I really think we need to figure out a way to repair these feelings. You know, there's a lot of good, but there is some stuff that's not right and it needs to be dealt with, right? These people have been here a long time. I'd hate to see people feel driven out of their own town that they've spent and invested many, many years, dollars and effort to build it up. So let's hope that we can figure out a better way forward on that. The other thing I guess is, you know, I am concerned about all the things that are raised. And I don't think that Jeff is saying that he doesn't think there's a role for an entity like a SID. He's saying that it should be done properly and legally. And I think that's a totally valid argument and that people should listen to it and give some replies to that. I mean, why is that a bad thing for a resident who happens to be an attorney to be put before his elected body and a board appointed by that body? I think he has legitimate concerns, and I think the community is concerned, and we do support the efforts. We want the businesses to thrive, but we also support things being done legally. It's not fair for some people to bear the costs of doing things properly and others not to have that cost. So we're here to be supportive, but we want things done right. Oops, 30 seconds still, sorry. And I guess the other thing I wanted to say is if there's any chance that we could identify through this group also how to help residents. You know, I know there's like a machine going here and it's really impressive, but I have to tell you, I had no idea that the residents were suffering the way they were. I happened to walk down there because a friend of mine lives down there and I was shocked. And I'm pretty paying attention to what's going on in town. So I really hope we can find a way to kind of bring these two efforts together. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, I'd like a motion to close the public comment period, please.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Tracy, could we have a voice vote, please?
Okay, so
Oh.
Everyone in favor?
Aye. Anybody no? Okay, yes. Steve, Mr. Grillo, would you
Yes.
like make any comments?
Sure. So based on some previous requests from prior meetings, we didn't want to wait till the end of the meeting to address public questions. So I wrote down what everybody had asked. There's only a few direct questions, so I want to just ask those. And Ms. Powell brought up the question of advocating for flood mitigation efforts, and I think absolutely as a SID and economic development agency, economic development group, certainly we want to work with the town as best we can to try to address those. So I think that's a phenomenal request. Ms. Urso brought up the banner placement and the refresh program. We're going to address both of those directly, and I'll explain some of the questions that she has in time. Ms. Stone did have a question on how the funds will be distributed. We will have an application that our attorney has reviewed. We're going to go through it a little bit more tomorrow, and that will be a public application process on a rolling basis. So as applications are received, they will be reviewed. We'll be evaluating loss of property, what insurance covered versus what insurance didn't cover, if folks received GoFundMe money versus not receiving GoFundMe money, if they were forced to relocate versus not forced to relocate. So there's a whole host of factors that we're going to take into account when we develop that matrix between $2,500, $5,000, and $10,000 awards. We have not set up a review committee at this point, but I know that is something that we are going to do shortly. And I will certainly let Ms. Stone know as those conversations progress. I appreciate her offer to assist. Ms. Pasternak brought up a question over our social media interaction, and I agree. I apologize for what I said. I like Ms. Pasternak. And I like Ms. Stone. I've had a chance to speak with both of them, and I agree with her. I know Ms. Pasternak and I were trying to set up a time to meet personally. I want to continue to offer that to you. I think there's an incredible amount of mixed information, I think, from both sides. And I think it's important that I sit down with those who have questions or oppose, and answer some of those questions. And hopefully we can have some common ground on some of the good things that we are doing. So Ms. Pasternak, please consider that an open invitation. And then in terms of resident assistance, I do think that is a bit of a challenge. It's certainly not something that the SID will be able to manage under our statutory authority or under our ordinance. But I know Richard has been working quite a bit on that. And so perhaps you want to address that now or in your comments. I know the TC isn't quite there yet, but I know you're obviously focusing on it. Okay, so hopefully that answers everyone's question.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board?
I do want to make a comment. I know that Ms. Urso, commented that, that I'll speak a little louder. I know that Ms. Urso commented that, that Mr. Grillo didn't go and visit. I do want to say for the record that I did go to her establishment. I went to Upper Millburn Avenue. Actually, Committee Woman Miggins was with me for handing out flyers, and Ms. Urso was sitting at a table. We gave her a flyer, and so we went to her establishment. And I think it's important to Mr. Grillo's sentiment. I think it's time. This storm has been devastating to the town, and I really think it's time for us to work together and to keep talking and to try to help each other. And I'm going to do, and I will make the same invitation that Mr. Grillo made, that I'm open to meeting and talking, and but we should try to go forward together and try to keep helping each other. And I really feel that way.
Thank you. Wholeheartedly agree with you. Anybody else? So the next item on our agenda is actually a business owner presentation from Lash Love. She's not going to be here tonight, given everything that's going on in the late hour, but she is scheduled to come in and hopefully will be able to be on our October agenda. I think that's the plan. Next item then is Township Committee Report. Mr. Wasserman.
Yeah, thank you. I thought what I want to do first is I have the Township Council kind of just review the what the township passed tonight. Mr. Carney, would that be okay? Would you just step forward and maybe just kind of go over the contents of the agreement of what we passed tonight?
Sure. So my name is Brad Carney. I'm with the firm of Mirazzi Falcon. The MOU that was adopted by the Township Committee has an effective date that requires three things to occur. One, the director of the Division of Local Government Services has to approve a line item in the township budget for the appropriation of the $220,000. Two, a certification of funds has to be provided by the business administrator. And then three, of course, the agreement has to be fully executed. That is the effective date. The agreement then provides that the applications have to be received within a 6-week period after that effective date. And the entire program ends after 10 weeks unless there is some other action by the governing body to extend it. Otherwise, any remaining funds will have to be provided back to the township. There are exemptions of properties in the SID that don't qualify. So under that MOU, it would not cover properties that are exempt from the special assessment, which would include tax exempt properties, properties that are used exclusively for residential purposes, residential portions of mixed use properties, or any vacant, unimproved and unused land. All those are exempt from the special assessment. So they're also exempt under this MOU. So Richard, I don't know what else you would like me to.
No, I just wanted to read it into the record, from the township's legal counsel in terms of what was, about the contents of the agreement. And that was really what I wanted to do. And I'd also say if any, Mr. Chair, if you have any questions.
I have a quick question, just to reiterate, I guess, the timing. So it's the first 6 weeks from the effective date.
From the effective date, the applications have to be received,
Okay,
okay? And the monies have to be dispersed within 10 weeks from the effective date.
gotcha. Okay.
Um,
Wait, there's one more question.
I have a quick question. Just about the effective date, like approximately how long does that, take? Do we have the effective date?
So it's dependent on the amount of time that it takes the Director of Local Government Services to
I see.
approve the insertion into the township budget of the line item that's needed for the $220,000. That I have no,
You have no control over, but presumably he's maybe inundated as well with multiple requests from other municipalities in the state.
I can't speculate
Yeah, okay.
about the director or the timeframe.
Okay.
But that does raise a good question. I mean, should we start collecting applications, knowing that it's still contingent upon that approval, just to get ahead of it a bit? I mean, we can figure that out later. It's just, we want to move as fast as possible, obviously.
Yeah, we're going to begin accepting applications. Obviously, those take some time to put together for folks. So I think the more time we have to, remember, we're not limited on the front end,
No, exactly.
right? So we can start, we intend to start tomorrow at worst case Saturday. And those will go out to the public. And then I suppose at the effective date, then I just want to ask council, I guess we cannot distribute any money until the effective date is reached, correct?
Because we won't have it, right?
Well,
We're not
Yes, we
gonna
won't
give
have
it
we won't have an agreement.
But will we have the money that we've already collected? Or
Oh,
That's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
And just a quick question, just since we're on this topic, how are we accepting these applications? In what format? Is it like a Google form? Is it, written? What are we?
It's going to be the same form that we use, or same format, I should say, that we use for Explore Refresh. So it'll be a fairly simple Google document. There'll be some basic, actually, we're going to go over that in a second. Our council looked at that today and obviously we've been doing a lot in the last couple of hours and trying to get things done. But yeah, we'll talk about that. And I certainly would love your input on how we can tweak that. But I would like to get that live in the next 36 to 48 hours.
And I do want to say that in the discussions with the township committee that, the township felt very strongly about moving quickly to try to help our businesses. As we know, the Chocolate Works, Basilico, Paper Ribbon and Wrap, when people were literally wiped out. And we wanted to, we want to make sure that we support our businesses, which also support commercial properties and values and try to keep our vacancy rate, as low as we can. And we want to do everything we can to support our businesses and our township and our downtown and all the districts, Upper Millburn Avenue. And we want to make sure we do everything we can, and we want to do it quickly.
I'd like to just add a technical item on this. The MOU and the program are for every single property within the SID. So obviously there are 3 districts, the Wyoming district, Short Hill Station, and Morris Turnpike, which were not necessarily affected. However, we don't know for certain that of the 500 plus properties that some of them weren't affected. So we wanted to intentionally keep this open to everyone. We assume that the vast majority will be from downtown, some potentially from Upper Millburn Avenue, but no one that is within the SID is excluded from applying.
And I want to note, as long as we're talking about that, there were businesses that were affected in the township who are excluded from this. There were Bernie's, Auto Repair, Anthony Lawrence Jewelers. There are people that really took losses, and because they're not in the SID, they will not benefit from this program. And I feel bad for them because they will not have access to this. So I just want to make that for the record too.
Can I ask a question about that? Is there any way separate from the SID that there could be any way to help those other businesses? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
okay.
Bernie's, thank goodness for the outpouring of support from the residents that set up GoFundMe pages and
Mhm.
for all the businesses. It was incredible, but I just feel bad that there are businesses in the township that will not have access to this, and they took severe losses also.
Thank you.
Sure.
Next item is Mr. McDonald is not here tonight, but I think Mr. Grillo has
Yes.
some reports for the business administrator report.
Yes, this will be fairly quick. So flex parking removal, they're doing it right now, the paving as we speak outside. And so Jesse, you can stop me if I say anything wrong, but we expect for that paving to be done this evening, and then striping will be completed tomorrow morning, which will not affect traffic, correct? Both lanes will be open? Okay. But the project will be done tomorrow. So obviously it was set back quite a bit from the storm, but it is what it is. The Main Street closure, the Township Committee voted at your meeting on September 1st to extend the closure program. It's been highly successful this year. I think it's been great for other businesses that have received spin-off business. And so that's going to be closed Friday at 4 p.m., then Saturdays and Sundays through Halloween. And then it will end on the Halloween weekend. I believe the 31st is the Sunday.
And we should keep, we should keep asking our residents to, stay local, shop local, and to all of our businesses. But this is just another opportunity.
Oh, I think that's great. Are we going to expand the music program then, or maybe we already have bands scheduled?
Yeah, well, we have an incredible number of bands. I could do bands every hour of every day if I wanted to. So yeah, we weren't certain, where we were going to be in terms of the timeline with recovery. But I think that, probably within the next week or so, we will be able to activate that space again. We obviously wanted to be sensitive to any type of construction and things that were going on. But
yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. We're also looking at a couple of other things that we'd like to do in terms of activation, maybe maybe having a DJ and dancing, maybe doing open mic nights for musicians. I have a whole list that we're working on, myself and Marla. So now that we were expecting to go a little faster, and then the storm came, but yeah, we should be really well programmed for that. And I know there's also going to be some special events related to flood fundraising that are going to happen in that area as well, utilizing the space. So all that is going to be coming out shortly. And then Tour de Millburn, unfortunately, was postponed due to the storm and some logistical issues. Date has not been reset, but it looks like it's going to be sometime in October. And Alex had tasked my office with collecting all of the donations and promotions from businesses. And we have boxes and boxes and boxes of donations, and it's wonderful. Again, the Millburn community stepped up. It's going to be great for the folks that participate. They're all going to get bags with great promotions from small businesses, and hopefully that translates into shoppers for you as well. And then my report is next.
Yep.
Okay, so as you all know, we did receive our 501c3 designation from the Internal Revenue Service. Certainly a watershed moment for us as an organization. And so I thank all of you for your support, especially our elected officials who had tried to work with us on some of the logistical issues through the IRS. And everyone really stepped up, even our state officials and federal officials. So really terrific to get that done. And obviously it allows us to now be able to produce this program. We would not be able to do the recovery program without the C3. So truly a great timing by the Internal Revenue Service, a sentence which has never been uttered before. Next, if you go to your attachments, street pole banners. So I will address Ms. Urso's question. It's a little bit more detailed than what she had mentioned, so I'm happy to explain. So as you see in the report here, there are 5 districts, as you all know. We had originally applied for 94 banners. That was the full application to JCP&L. There was 40 in downtown. Now those 40 are really just replacements of the existing banners that were placed by the DMDA. Most of those have now fallen or been in disrepair. There's 1 or 2 that are still up, but there will be a full replacement. So the reason that there's so many more is that the DMDA put 40 in the district. And so we're just using the hardware that's already there. It's actually, they put up 33. We're going to order 7 more that were available on wooden poles further up towards the Wyoming district. But that's the reason the number is so much higher, is that the infrastructure was put there by our predecessor. And so we're just using it. So it wasn't an arbitrary decision on our part to have such a high percentage. The predecessor had done that.
Yeah, especially because if I remember properly, the hardware is the bulk of the cost, right, for each
Yes.
of them. Yeah.
So it's
it
there.
makes sense
So
to
it
use
just makes
yeah.
sense to use it. And then, of course, you'll see as we go across the chart here, there's the total approved by JCP&L and the total denied by JCP&L. So let's start with that. So none of the polls in downtown required JCP&L approval, therefore none were rejected. So all 40 that we ordered or requested were approved. We applied for 15. Now, these numbers, the application numbers, are literally based on the number of polls available. So I can't put up electrical and telephone poles myself. So I can only work with what I have. There's no ulterior motive here, right? There's either a pole or there isn't. And so Wyoming Business Center had 15 that we could use. 8 were approved, 2 were denied because they had either transformers or other electrical equipment. And then 5 are pending Verizon review. So JCP&L told us it's not our pole, it's Verizon's pole because they were the last one on. I don't know if any of you, I've worked for utilities before, and that's kind of how it works is the last utility on the pole has ownership of that pole at the time. And so they've said, well, that's not our pole, it's Verizon's pole. You now need to apply to Verizon. I've been doing this while we're having a storm recovery, by the way. So 5 of them are pending review. So ideally, we will have 13 done in the Wyoming Business District, the 8 that were approved and 5 that Verizon may approve. Short Hill Station, we applied for the 11 poles that are in the district. There's only 11 there. We got 5 approved, 6 denied, and there's no other poles. So we're going to put up 5. That's all we have. Upper Millburn Avenue, we applied for all 17. 13 were approved, 2 were denied because of the same reason, and 2 are pending Verizon review. So we've now ordered 13 that we know are approved. And then on Morris Turnpike, we have applied for 11. Only 3 were approved. 8 had to go to Verizon for review. And so, as Ms. Urso said, there's 0 in Morris Turnpike, but that's because we don't have the approval to install them. I can't order banners that I don't have permission to install. And I wasn't going to let the other 4 districts wait until Morris Turnpike was approved. So what we've decided to do with the consultant contractor is order for the other 4 districts. And then once we get the Morris Turnpike approval, we will then go and order those as well, hoping that we get at least 8. So that's the story. It's a bit of a complicated mathematic matrix here. But in the end, if you go to that final count, we will be installing of the original 94 requested, 66 that were approved. And then there are 15 others that are pending Verizon review. So, and then there's the 3 others from Morris Turnpike that gets us to the 69 number. And so hopefully when Morris Turnpike is completed, we will be well on our way to having a full count as we need it. Okay. Are there any questions about that horribly boring discussion on
Not boring.
banner mathematics?
Once they're ordered, any idea how long it takes to get them?
Probably take about 4 weeks, depending on the manufacturer. I think 4 weeks is probably a good number.
Okay.
This also means that we can get this done before the winter time.
Any indication that Verizon will get to the application and like timing on that or?
JCP&L was a 30-day review. They're given that by law, and they got it back to us within about 25 days. So hopefully we'll get the Verizon approval by the end of this month, and then we can go ahead and order the remainder.
Any other questions?
So the next item is upcoming events. As you all know, on September 12th from 12 to 4 p.m., we are doing our first Upper Millburn Avenue event. We're calling it the Upper Millburn Avenue Sidewalk Stroll. We're going to have 3 bands. Those were organized by Joanna Parker-Lentz, who, of course, handles the 3. They're going to basically do 1-hour sets. And then, so Joanna Parker-Lentz, who organizes Rocktoberfest, was great. And she actually brought a couple of bands that are doing Rocktoberfest to do this as well, kind of as a kickoff promo to support that event.
What are the hours?
12 to 4.
There's a,
You'll have your flyer in there as well. So September 12th, that's this Sunday, from 12 to 4, Upper Millburn Avenue between Short Hills Avenue and Baltusrol Way is the main area. And we're going to have 3 bands. We're going to have a stilt walker. We're going to have children's activities. And all the stores have been invited to put out their materials, whether it's food or retail items. And we just think this is a great way to get some foot traffic up there, especially with a bunch of new businesses opening. So very excited about that event. And we also partnered with the Chamber of Commerce on this. They helped us with a lot of logistics, so always wonderful to work with multiple partners. September 18th is Rocktoberfest, so we've been trying to promote that, although it seems, I've only been in this town 5 months, but it seems like Rocktoberfest doesn't need any promotion. It is quite the event. And so we'll be there. There'll be an Explorer presence, and we're really excited about that. The next day, I've been invited to attend the South Mountain Civic Association block party. So I will go there and have a table as well, and certainly chat with folks, and I've got some ideas about public engagement. And then on September 21st, I will be back here in this room presenting to the Township Committee. I encourage all of our board members, if you're interested in attending, we'll be giving a recap of our first 5 months or so. On October 2nd, there's a fall block party for at Morris Turnpike at Short Hills. That's going to be at AKT Fitness. They've offered to kind of be the lead on this. They're going to be doing that's at 770 Morris Turnpike. That they're going to do a ribbon cutting, ice box, cryotherapy, where we had our mixer a couple months ago. Is also going to be doing a ribbon cutting, and we're coordinating some of the live music, and then some of the business owners are coordinating some of the entertainment as well. So really glad that we can do a public event on Morris Turnpike as well. And then finally, October 29th, we are going to be hosting our Halloween event, and I will be speaking with my events committee and Marla on how we want to roll that out. We did have some early on conversations about that, but the world turned upside down a little bit last week, and but I'm excited to do that, and I think it's going to be a great way to get people downtown, and hopefully Halloween will be a nice little celebration of our town rising up from what we've experienced. So quite a bit of events coming up, and really thrilled for public engagement.
Thank you. And any questions, Mr. Grillo? Yeah, I can't believe it's been almost a year now for the Halloween event. That was like our first big event that was successful. And now it's like we're talking about it again. It's crazy. Very quickly, cognizant of time, treasurer's report, that's the next item on the agenda. Just briefly, as of September 7th, our account balance in the bank was $123,645. The only item, and this is all posted online, the only item is interesting, I was going to highlight, is the banners. They're listed here. The projected expense was $13,250, but because we've got some rejections and some delays, that number will likely come down some. So that will be a greater positive difference in the budget line item versus the expense. Right now, not counting that poll adjustment, we're about little over $10,000 running under budget. So that's doing very well. Any questions? Next item is Mr. Grillo, new business.
Thank you. So if you go to your attachments, we do have the next one, which is the Morris Turnpike Beautification RFP. If you recall, we discussed this at our last board meeting, and we only received one bid back after reaching out to, I think the number was 30 some odd. So the board had directed me to reissue the RFP to local landscapers and ask them to submit. So you see that it should say round 2. I apologize for the typo on the second page. As you see there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 businesses, all local, who we did create a list with and sent it out to these folks. We did email RFPs, we mailed RFPs when requested, we called people to see if they would be interested. We only had one group that did say they were interested in submitting. They never ended up doing that. And so after 2 rounds and almost 40 businesses, we've only received still one submission. I think this project is important to do. I think it's important that we support the Morris Turnpike businesses and improve the aesthetics of that area. This is within our budget. We had line item this. So I would like your authorization to award the contract to the applicant, Sweetbrook Nursery and Garden Center, in the amount of $8,900 due to the fact that no other businesses, after repeated attempts, have submitted.
Quick question. I mean, any feeling as to why they may not have been? Is this like their busy season in the middle of summer so that they're literally out,
Well, that's I suppose the trick with plants, right? I mean, if I asked them to do it in December, they'd have nothing else to do, but the plants would die.
It was just because like the non-response, like you call them twice, you're not even getting a call back. It's just, they're still in business. So like, I'm just surprised.
I think a lot of these landscaping firms do have pretty full portfolios and pretty reliable clients, and sometimes large projects become an issue because, let's say this takes a week, that's a crew that isn't working somewhere else, right, for their routine clients. And so sometimes that's a manpower challenge. And so I think that probably plays a role in this as well.
Steve, I know the RFP is about the work between Walgreens and Benihana, is that correct?
That is correct.
So I just want to check because I was there last week. I want to say the area from where King's is, and then below that where Panera is. This seems to have been landscaped and renovated very recently.
Yes. So this work would not touch anything that has been landscaped. We wouldn't remove anything that's currently landscaped and
Yeah,
manicured.
because it looks really good and it looks
Yeah.
new, and I guess it would be concentrating on the area before that.
The intent is to make the rest of it look like that.
Like that, yeah.
I just have a question, being that we have just this one entity, just have we done reference checks on them, or just what can we do to ensure that they're, going to do a good job of this? Can we, get pictures of their work or do some direct reference checks? I want to just do something to ensure that before we.
Yeah, so I've actually used this firm for previous bids.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
so I sent this
And they
RFP.
did the project,
Yeah, I'd contracted with them in the past.
Okay.
They do very good work.
Okay, good. I just
sent-
wanted to make sure, I didn't know that, and I just want to make sure it's like a proven entity.
I did send this to, I think,
Okay.
3 or 4 companies that I had
Okay.
worked with in previous SIDs. Again, only one responded. But yeah, I worked with this firm before. They're very good. I have absolute confidence in them.
Okay, that's great.
I was
just
hoping we get
wasn't
more
sure.
bids.
Yeah,
But I think if we work with these folks, we'll get a very good product.
I guess the only comment I would make, and I wish I had a solution to offer, but I know when I've bid out things with landscapers, pricing can be so dramatically different. And to only have one bid, there's no point of reference for whether that's like a reasonable price or not a reasonable price. But I agree with the sentiment that I think we should be supporting the Morris Turnpike folks. They may feel a little left out. What was the budget? Can you refresh my memory that we set aside for this?
So I had estimated about $9,000. And so they came in at that ballpark. I've done a lot of these projects. So I kind of just used my knowledge on this, but I think this price, based on the amount of work to be done, is very fair. I'm not shocked by this number.
And the budget, Andrew, is a little over 11,000 in the original budget.
Yeah, we had 11,000 for landscaping in total.
Yeah.
And then I estimated this would probably be about 9, and that's where they came in.
Perfect. Thank you.
So we do save $2,000 there as well.
So Steve, you're suggesting a motion to proceed with negotiating. Is this the contract? This is just their proposal.
No, I would accept this. I would ask for a motion to approve this proposal as the final proposal, and then go to contract contingent upon the contractor meeting with the Department of Public Works prior to any project being conducted to make sure that any issues within their scope of work are mitigated.
Steve, this question, how does the money get, like, do we send them, do you just send them the check and then we hope they do it, or do you pay them when the project is complete?
When the project's complete.
So, okay. So,
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
motion,
Thank you. Any seconds?
Second.
I guess that would be a
Roll
voice-
call vote.
Roll call vote. Could you please have a roll call vote?
okay. Jemana Culligan,
I abstain.
Tracy Kath-Levine, yes. Andrew Morgan,
Yes.
Nadej Nickel,
Yes,
Richard Wasserman,
yes.
Stephen Weiner.
Yes,
Thank you.
great.
Next item is the Explore Refresh program. So you all have a handout. It's 2 pages, and so I'd like to just take you through those. So as you recall, the Explore Refresh program was a program that we were utilizing as COVID relief. Initially, we had $10,000 in the budget for something called COVID relief, and we didn't quite know what that was going to be. The decision, I guess, 3 or 4 meetings ago was to launch some type of storefront beautification program with an intent of making the downtown area and the other commercial districts more pleasing for pedestrians. And so we put out a public application. We did receive 12 qualifying applications. As you see, the majority are from downtown, but we did receive some from Short Hill Station and some from Upper Millburn Avenue. I have no idea as to why there were more on downtown than other places, but this was a public offering to every single business in the CID. We did a month plus of public outreach, and so here we are. Most folks had requested either $1,000 or more than $1,000, but we had set a cap at 1,000 because we only had 10,000 in the budget. Everybody that's on that first page, in speaking to them and in getting documents and proposals, does qualify. And so I would suggest proceeding with them. There are two that are, I guess, of more question. The first is Millburn Florist. They did suffer significant damage during the storm. I don't think that a power wash and awning and painting of the exterior will happen anytime soon. I think there's bigger concerns there. I would expect that they're going to apply for our disaster relief program. And so I just think it would be financially prudent to hold that money back, potentially use it for another business, roll it over into next year, but they will get taken care of through another fund if they choose to apply. Bella Organici is moving to the site where Lash Love is. So they're actually going to be partners, not partners, but roommates over there. And I'm glad to say the CID actually introduced the two of them. And so they are now going to be sharing a space. And so I've spoken to the owner, Danielle. I told her, I can't give you money for a sign in the store you're leaving. So why don't we meet up when you're done and you've moved into Lash Love, and we can better understand what you need at that site and welcome her to apply again. So I think we could just hold that money for now. And if she does come back with a qualifying application, that we can provide her with that funding. Any questions on that review?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I think the crucial thing that you said is that we were thinking of doing this because we wanted to offer some COVID relief motivation for stores to, prop up their front, etc. And I think it's great. I have an issue with funding anything that is for a new business that's coming and that wants a new sign, for example. I don't think this should be part of this grant at all. I think this is a business expense that we all foot when we open a store, and I think that should be left out of that. That's my comment.
So a new business installing a new sign. So that would be number 7, and Style International. And then that would be Bella Organici in their move.
Yeah,
Am I understanding that?
I feel like it doesn't fit with the COVID refresh mission.
Okay.
That's my comment.
Are you all in agreement?
I want to just clarify. What is number 7? What is that business? What is that?
So that is a new business that's just opened. They sell faux
Oh,
feathers.
that's the feather place.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know the name of it. Okay. Yeah, I would agree. That's awkward if they're a new business, is a new sign. If it was an existing business that
Yeah, that's my point.
was
Yeah.
updating their sign, but that is, I would
Okay.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that too.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
This, it says request amount. This is the amount that they actually put in their application?
Correct. I think we ended up with $21,000 worth of requests. So obviously couldn't do that.
I mean, for Bella Organici, the bistro said we had specifically used furniture and planters
Mhm.
as a possible thing, but I understand what you're saying. It doesn't make sense to do it until we know that they're actually
Right.
settled in a new location and actually know that they're.
Yeah, and she's
Yeah.
actually moving today.
Okay.
So
Oh,
she
really?
should be in there very quickly, and I told her I'm happy to revisit.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing, maybe we revisit,
Mhm.
you know, and it's declined for now.
Okay. Any other comments? So I'm actually conflicted out, so I'm gonna step out here and I will not be voting on this
Okay.
item. So I'll step out during the vote. We're
Just
gonna
real
need a
quick,
motion.
sorry, just wanted to know what P and D properties were.
P and D are the owners of the building where Moonshine is. Yes, so they actually, it's funny, I got the same application from the owner and the tenant. And I said, well, I can't give you the same amount of money for the same building. So when do you have to choose how you're gonna be the applicant? So P and D ended up being the applicant. They're also the owner of 357, 359 Millburn Avenue, which is just across the way here from Town Hall. So it's two separate buildings, just happens to be the same owner.
All right, I'm gonna ceremoniously pass the baton.
Pass the
I'll step
torch.
out. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's fine.
You have something, Andrew?
I'm torn because I mean, I honestly see both sides of this. I guess I could be devil's advocate and make the argument that even though they're a new business and they're coming in, they need a sign. We are, by providing that grant, we are lowering the barrier of entry and giving them funds to more runway to start to grow the business. So I just was kind of mumbling to myself that I'm torn. I think I would probably vote to approve theirs, but that's just me.
You guys want to talk about it more? Before we-
That's what we're here for.
Feel any
Do
differently?
you want the grant application with you? I'm actually wondering if we should just relook briefly at actually how we worded the application.
We didn't exclude signage. We actually encourage signage.
And we didn't exclude new business, I mean,
No.
it didn't have any criteria like you have to have been here.
No.
I'm just wondering if the way, I mean, it's not something that I mean, sometimes you don't think of what you don't think of. So I am kind of thinking if we didn't say those things up front, then it might not be right. Even if it may be a valid point, it might not be right to, like, if they would look at the application and we're like, well, we're meeting everything it says on here. And then,
Well, but I think the question is, if you're opening a new business and you're sitting with your landlord and you're making a business plan, I imagine that that signage is on your first sheet of paper, you know, that's part of your plan. I mean, I think ours, you know, the idea of refresh is, you know, is exactly that. It's refresh. It's what can we do to freshen you up, not to necessarily start you out.
But if we put it out there this way, I mean, we could take this as a board and say, lesson learned. Now we know when we do something like this. I think that was a good point. I forget, sorry, who made it, but yeah, it's like you put the person's looking at the application going like, I meet all these criteria. Now we're going to go back to them and be like, well, we decided you're new and so you're not eligible. Like I would, if I were that business owner, I'd be like, well, thanks for wasting my time, you know?
I don't know, do we give half? So they ask for 1,000, we give 500 and then they're still.
Or do you want to let them re-choose, you know?
Maybe reapply and
Yeah,
put that money
Yeah,
in.
I think the idea is that we want to give it to, you know, we certainly want to, if they want to apply, we want to give it to them, but the question is, you know, for a sign, maybe there's something else that they could repurpose. You know, maybe there's something else. I agree with you. I mean, I'm not a stickler like, you know, well, you hit the wrong box, but I kind of also see the other side of it. This is a refresh program, not a start you out program.
Where are they moving to? Just out of curiosity, like what's their?
Number
109?
7,
Where
you're
is
saying?
that?
Number 7 or
109?
number 2?
Number 7?
Number 7 is a new business. They're
Yeah, I know,
109.
but where is
What
exactly,
location?
what's 109? Where is that? on Main
Oh,
Street?
it's the corner property at Church
Right
and
near
Main.
St. Stephen's Church.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm kind of feeling like if the application was worded in a way that it aligns with the application, it's hard to say no.
I don't know. I mean, I think refresh is refresh, not new. And also, aren't we creating a precedent where then any new business who comes and goes, hey, can I have my $1,000 for a sign because others get it? I don't know if it's, I don't know.
Well,
Another
we
question,
could,
have they opened?
pardon me?
Have they opened yet? Oh, they have,
Yeah,
okay.
Their ribbon cutting is in 2
Okay.
weeks.
So is there a sign there now? Like
No.
what's on there now?
I mean, we could go back to them and say, listen, we're willing to give you the $1,000. You just have to change your application to something else.
Yeah, but that's just, and then what?
That feels weird too. I don't know, to me, this was kind of a, well, I guess a couple of observations. One is that, I mean, it was a kind of a one-time program for now.
Mhm.
I'm surprised we didn't get more applications, or even how modest some of the applications were. I guess one thing that's interesting to me, just looking at the money, I mean, some people did apply for a more significant grant and were like automatically making everything $1,000 or lower. So that was just something I observed, like we had a $10,000 or 5,000 and like, we're only putting them in for 1,000 and would it be, and those are like longer time businesses, would it be better to give a little more money towards those longer term businesses? But again, I hate to penalize a new business that met the criteria and applied.
Maybe, I mean, I think we certainly want to welcome a new business. I mean, that's the whole point of what we're doing is to welcome new businesses and to take care of vacancies. I mean, I would recommend seeing, authorizing the money and seeing if Steve could offer them something that they could use that's that's not necessarily signage. I also think it might be a bad precedent, that we're going to pay for new businesses signs, but maybe we
That could be an item for next year. Like
Yeah.
maybe we do welcome all new businesses get $1,000 grants for their new sign in
Yeah, but that
town.
would be a new sign business.
That's
program.
different than this. Yeah.
I mean, I would like to give them the money if Steve could find if they could work with Steve to find a good use for it to help them open.
Okay.
So are we
Yeah,
therefore
I think it makes no
proposing?
difference if we give the money, but we just label it something else. We give the money, so we just have to decide whether we want to give the money for new signs or whether we just want to give it for refresh. Yeah, no, I know, but I think labeling it something different, to me, it's just
We can jump to that. real
taking
quick.
it out of one pocket,
I
putting
know
it,
you're saying.
it makes no difference to me.
I'm gonna put a suggestion out there. I don't know, part of me is like, I want to make responsible decisions for every dollar, but we have like a huge task in front of us on our recovery grant. My proposal would be, I don't know, based on everything we're hearing, make it $500. We're a little uncomfortable, but it is not inconsistent with what was on the application. So in good faith, give them half of what they were seeking.
I agree, I think that's a good idea.
And then maybe shift that other 500 to like PETA on Essex or Saigon. That's kind of was even, more, I think, fully in spirit with what we were looking for. And then look to approve 1 through 10 and have the 2 that Steve recommended to pen. So I guess that would be my suggestion.
Did the application have a max of 1,000 and people were just putting in? I don't remember.
We had a policy that we were only going to give away
Just
1,000.
given the.
However, we only spent 8,150. However, there is the $1,000 that we're kind of setting aside for Bella Organici. So we really only have 9,000 to spend at this point. So if we were to remove that by 500, then we can put that extra 500 and a little bit extra. Maybe we could add that to, you know what I could do? Why don't I take the remainder, whatever that number ends up being, and just add that to everybody that got 1,000? It ends up being, $200 or something like that. So these turn into $1,200.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
Is that all right?
I'm going to excuse myself. I'm going to pass a motion.
So
I don't know, I don't want to overcomplicate, but it feels a little funny to give people more than what they're asking for. Like if they asked for 1,000, it just feels weird to give 1,200. Like, why wouldn't we just give a bit more to PETA on Essex and Saigon, who are looking to do more major work and they're investing like significant money? Like, why not split the difference between?
money?
We can absolutely hold on to it and
Or
use
just
it.
hold on.
To it for the next time we decide. to
This,
do a grant
this
program.
money is not constrained by the calendar.
Okay,
So we can
All
roll
right,
it
so
over
let's
into
do
next
that.
year. We can move it.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Okay.
You know, let's say we come up short on another budget item. We can move the money around.
okay, so let's just do that.
So
So
what are-
change
So what are we
What
gonna
are
do?
we doing?
7 to 500 and then approve everything else as is, and we'll just have a little more money to pend for the future.
But are you gonna give them five? We're gonna give them 500.
We're saying 500
For the
So-
sign.
for number 7.
And so it's so the 500 goes back into the fund.
Correct.
Okay.
And what are we doing with Bella Organici?
They're on hold,
They're on hold, okay.
Okay. That's
correct?
Yes, and then once they establish themselves, if they just want signage again, we can reduce it to 500.
Okay.
I'll do the same thing I did with Angelique Terrelong, and if they want a bistro set and something else, we can give them the 1,000. So we can be flexible with that. But as long as you authorize me to proceed, then we don't have to come back to the board.
Okay.
We can just finish this.
Okay,
So what kind of motion do we need?
So we need a motion to approve the Explore Refresh Grant Program, is that correct?
We're at 1 through 10
1 through 10
with
with
number 7.
number
being
7 is
500.
amended.
Okay. So a motion to approve Explore Refresh Grant Program with amending number 7 from 1,000 to 500 and numbers 1 through 10 on this. Attachment.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Motion?
Second,
Okay, I'll do the roll call vote. Jemana Culligan,
Yes.
Tracy Katz-Levine, yes. Andrew Morgan,
Yes.
Nadej Nickel,
yes.
Richard Wasserman.
yes.
Mr. Carney has been sitting here
Yeah.
patiently waiting. I thought he was just here for the fun of it. Turns out he wanted to see how we vote on the MOU.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So if we
Okay.
could skip to that,
Yes,
for the
wow.
sake of him.
Okay.
So we only have 3 copies. If you'd like, I can read it to you. I
Yeah,
can give you
read
the
it.
abridged version, whatever you'd like. I can,
Well, it's basically what they read in the previous meeting, correct?
correct. So
And this
I'm okay
is
with it.
exactly.
would you like the
what
salient
township-
points perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a memorandum of understanding between Explore and the township. The parties intend to provide $220,000 in funds from the township reserve account to businesses and property owners within the SID that are not exempt from the special assessment. We had discussed that. Upon the approval of this MOU, the township will deposit funds in the bank account controlled by Explore through Investors Bank. As a note, Stephen recommended that we set up a separate bank account at Investors. I got everyone's signature tonight to do that. I just need Michael's. And so as soon as I get Michael's, we'll have 2 separate accounts. And we're going to use that as a donation account going forward, so that we don't have to worry about mixing
That
money.
means the money that was donated previously from GoFundMe and to our own website will now go to the new.
Yeah, a new separate, just to help for accounting. So we have our
Yeah.
budgeted money and
Makes a lot of
expenses
sense,
and then
yeah.
just all
Correct.
donations.
Right. So the parties are obviously the township and Explore. The points of contact are Alex and myself. The use of funds. We will provide an online submission form, which will require contact information, narrative description of damages and photos, which will be reviewed by the executive director and potentially a committee to be determined. All properties and businesses located within the established boundaries of the SID that are not exempt from special assessment will be eligible to apply to the economic stimulus to assist in the restoration of flood damaged businesses and property. Priority will be given to businesses located in the districts most impacted by the storm. All applications must be received by Explore within 6 weeks of the effective date. Explore will evaluate each application individually and determine the amount of funding to be awarded based on the application and supporting information, including in-person site visits and preliminary damage assessments that were conducted by township officials. Restoration of parking lots, utilities, and accessory uses will not be eligible. We had mentioned that there's going to be 4 funding levels: limited damage, $1,000, significant damage, $2,500, severe, $5,000, and extreme, $10,000. There is one item that's related to audit fees. So of the $220,000, $5,000 will be allocated to Explore because a separate audit needs to be performed on this. That will not come out of our operating budget. That'll come out of this fund. Record keeping, I'll be presenting a monthly report to the township committee on what has been taken in terms of applications and how much has been distributed. And then we had talked about the effective date and the requirements there. And so our chairman is not here, but unless council disagrees, I believe our treasurer can sign. So we will need a formal vote from the board to accept the MOU. Now, no one here would be conflicted out because this is simply to accept the money, not to distribute the money. And so everyone here should be eligible to vote. Do you have any questions? Because our attorney is here.
Well, yeah.
And the township.
We've got two legal minds here. Do you have any questions for him?
This, we're not voting on how the money is going to be allocated.
No.
We're voting on accepting the money.
Correct. Well, you're accepting the MOU.
Yeah, authorizing execution of the MOU.
I would say, to the extent there was a discussion earlier about
I can hear you.
Yeah.
They can't hear him on TV.
Need somebody young.
to the extent there was a discussion earlier with regard to accepting applications prior to the full execution and effective date being triggered, it would be conditional on that. As long as it's understood that the application is being accepted, conditional on the effective date being triggered by the signatures. That way you're not running into issues with regard to people being led to believe that the applications are being processed when something out of the ordinary for whatever reason, some signatures are not made for whatever reason. Okay. Okay.
So that would just be a bullet point on the application or something. So it's clear to the person.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then there are specifics that I want to go over with you guys in terms of the application, but that's not necessarily for Mr. Carney. So.
And I do want to add that that at the township committee discussion, there is full support for us to distribute this money expeditiously to help our merchants. We've all seen the devastation, and I'm just so happy that our residents came forward to offer money. The township's coming forward, and I just think it's a wonderful thing that we're trying to help our our businesses and our restaurants, people that have invested their life savings in our town, and that they should know that we're there for them, and we'll continue to be there for them. And I think it's important that we do it as soon as we can.
I mean, remember, we were forming the Sid Help because of COVID, and sure enough, we're here, but it's like a perfect storm. But we have the infrastructure now to be able to help businesses like us.
And that's the whole point. We have the infrastructure, we have the foresight to set it up the way it is, and we're ready to help. Almost ready to help.
I just want to say that the motion that you'd be considering tonight is a motion to authorize your treasurer to sign the MOU.
So I
Nothing.
can't vote.
Yeah.
I can vote on that though. As treasurer, I can still vote on that.
No, wait, secretary or treasurer?
Whoever you want to, who's signing this agreement?
I think the secretary.
The secretary.
Oh, yeah, you said
Okay.
treasurer.
So then it's a motion for the secretary to sign the MOU. That would be the motion that you're making.
Yes.
Okay.
And should she recuse herself? The
No,
treasurer,
because I don't think-
the secretary?
No, because she signs.
Can she vote for herself to sign?
Yeah, sure.
When she signs all the, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
she has
do I-
to just vote for herself to sign the secretary. Yes.
So do I hear a motion authorizing our secretary to execute the MOU as described by Mr. Grillo? Second?
Second.
Great. Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Jemima Culligan,
Yes.
Tracy Kath-Levine, yes. Andrew Morgan,
Yes.
Nadej Nickel,
Yes.
Richard Wasserman,
Yes.
Stephen Weiner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you would be so kind.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, so moving quickly through the remaining items. Mr. Grillo, I think we have the gift card program.
Yes.
You wanna-
So we'd had a lot of conversation about this. We wanted to do a gift card program. You guys maybe remember the Gifty program. So Nadej and Stephen and I had gone through a couple of different options. I spoke to the folks in Summit who have a similar program. And we just felt that right now, we did not have the internal operations to launch that type of project. However, we would like to do it in 2022, so that's going to be an item for us. But Nadej had suggested that we go forward with allocating some funds for the purchase of local gift cards. So maybe you just want to discuss that.
Because the idea was to try to have something in place for the holiday season, so we could have our merchants benefit from, more customers. But realistically, we can't have a program that we are going to be comfortable with from a legal point of view in place by December. There's too many things that need to be changed or reviewed or amended, and there are different directions that we can go into for 2022. But in the meantime, we were thinking, then why don't we allocate some funds to purchase gift cards? So Explore would purchase gift cards from merchants in town and give those, either through, participation to a little competition or a social media campaign or something like that. And then we would basically, this money would just basically go back to merchants.
Nadej, can I ask a question? I'm thinking of a promotion that actually I utilized that was in Livingston, where they offered an incentive of a discount on the gift cards. So like you were able to buy gift cards at like 10% off or 20% off. I'm just wondering if that could be, I don't know what money we have in the budget for this, but for example, you could buy $100 gift card for $90 and we would cover the other 10, like you're.
No, I think in this case, weren't we thinking about the Explorer to actually go to stores and.
Yeah,
I understand. I guess I'm just proposing an alternative idea. That's saying we're going to go to stores. I'm just want to put this out there. It sounds like this first option is we go to stores and buy the gift cards directly, but like we're buying $100 gift cards for $100, for example. Like let's just say it's $1,000. We could buy 20 $50 gift cards, and that's I'm getting late on my break. That's $1,000, right?
Yeah.
With this other scenario, you can take $1,000 and say, let the public know, buy Millburn gift cards at these stores and get 10% off. So people are only paying $45 for a $50 gift card.
Yeah.
So that's selling $10,000 worth of gift cards where we fund the discount. I just want to.
Yeah, it's I think it's a good idea. It has more power. I think it would need to be a significant discount to make it attractive. So, you think so? I think,
I don't know. It's people, because they do it as a sort of a gesture, people aren't trying to
Especially now.
It kind of gives you, right? I think people are more cognizant than ever of I'm trying to shop local. And so then it gives them, rather than buy a Visa gift card that not only costs that money, but it's an extra $5, buy it local.
So can I just ask about the mechanics of it? So in your mind, I walk into, I can't walk into anybody and get a discount, right? That's against the rules. So someone walks into Shala's and says, I'd like to buy a gift card. Shala is a participating member of this promo. He says, I'd like a $50 gift card. She says, oh, it's $40. Why? Oh, because Explore Millburn is going to pay the difference. And then she sends me an invoice, a note, a receipt, whatever it is, and says, I sold a $50 gift card for $40. Give me the $10 back. Is that how it works?
I would be interesting. I know that in Livingston, what is there? Live, Love, Livingston, whatever their group is called. I say certain businesses, they were allocated a certain number of discounts. And because I got, they each got a certain number. Yeah, they each were allocated a certain amount. Yeah.
I can call Livingston and find out how they did it.
I say, I don't know. I don't know if it's a little complicated, but I just wanted to put it out there.
No, if we manage it like that, it's not complicated because you don't need to set up any type of,
But you just need to reimburse the businesses.
Exactly, but
you have to also have a list of, participating merchants, and maybe it is the person who's buying maybe has to mention you know, I don't think it would make sense to just give it to the rent. anybody.
Right, if they're not even
Right.
Yeah.
expecting it,
Yeah.
yeah.
But, you know, I do want to throw out there
I
that
don't know. It might be too
after Ida,
complicated.
you know, there's such an outpouring of resident, you know, in general, I would agree with you. I think, Tracy, that's a great idea, like, that's the way to do it. But with what just happened, I just think our residents want to help. And I'm just not sure whether, you know, 10% discount means anything.
Like, do we need it?
Yeah,
Like,
like,
do we need
exactly,
it?
like, we could always
Like,
do.
they're gonna, we should be promoting it anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, you know, I have a lot of friends.
I
like,
just
how
think
can-
it might be too
yeah, my friends are like,
complicated.
how can I help? Where do I sign up? Where do I go? So
Right.
maybe in light of what's
Right,
happened,
okay.
we run with it, you know, just without any discount and help us.
So it's just a social media campaign,
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, help the town, help the merchants, you know,
So-
this is how you help us.
Do we have, for whatever we're talking about, is there a line? Do we have money
Yeah, I
in the
mean,
budget?
Yeah, we
for
can take
this?
It would come out of our seasonal events.
Yeah.
budget.
Got it. Okay, I
And I
just
don't-
wanted to check that.
So this
before
would be
we-
our holiday gift card seasonal event.
Mhm.
And
So
if we
rather
need
than
it,
that,
and if
we buy cards and use them
And
as.
if we need
Yeah.
help with it, we could always, you know, institute a discount, you know, at a later point.
So what would we do, though? We go out, we've identified all the businesses and say, okay, we're gonna buy a $25 gift card from everybody.
Well,
I
you
mean,
know, what we
it's
could
kinda-
do is we could say, listen, we're gonna come and buy a $25 gift card, but sell it to us for 20.
No, I think
No,
we're
no,
back
no.
to
You wanna
the
do face
original
value?
idea.
No, the original
I think we're
idea.
back to the original idea. of
Yeah, I
buying
would-
Because then you-
Cards and using them for.
Yeah,
promotions.
so,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of groups that come to us, I shouldn't say us, I wasn't here last Christmas, but other groups I've run where, you know, people want to put them in as promos for their holiday events. And I think it's a good promotion, right? Just to say, oh, I never knew this restaurant was here, you know, it's cool, I have a gift card, maybe I'll go. And so we can kind of just, you know, spread the wealth of trying to get as much, it's kind of like what we've done with Tour de Millburn, to be honest. We've asked people for very small denomination donations to put in these bags. And so we could use them for the holiday and we could do, you know, if we have which we're gonna have events, right? We can use it just as promotional material and it doesn't cost the business anything. In fact, they make money.
I would just say to Vicky's point though, about also getting our social going more viral, I'd like to see us use them for more like, you know, engagement type of contests and.
Well, that's the other thing too, is if, you know, I know that you've been very keen on engagement posts and I agree, you know, this is the kind of thing where engage with us and win a gift card.
Right,
That's
I
a
mean,
good- I think that's a better way of doing it.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what
I'd like to see
So
it
that,
for
yeah, that
that.
was the idea was that you use it together with a, you know, competition, a social media or something. But also I remember we were talking about this when we were making the point that the giftee idea was also bringing institutional business that currently is not really shopping here. And also one idea could also be to have a basket of $25 gift cards from the town and maybe go to, you know, an institution like a hospital or something that's around here and say, hey, for your employee end of year,
Right.
whatever, here are some gift cards from town. So
Yeah.
that was why we were discussing that.
Right, I mean, if we did that, we should definitely brand it, have it come with a, you know, complement of Explore Millburn Short Hills.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, to get our
And you
name
could do a
out
$100
there.
bag, right? And you put in 4 25s or 5 20s. And you can go do it to the high school or another group, whatever.
I mean, there's always these, you know, school auctions and things that
Yeah.
happen and, you know, an Explore bag would be great.
But like, I think, but they have to have there has to be a contingent, like, we'll give that to you, but we want, you know, we want to have flyers out or we
Yeah.
want to have.
And could is it possible to have a scanning code as part of if we do something like that, could there be a scanning code on the
Like a
back?
QR code.
Like a QR code on the
Mhm.
back with a map of here's all of our
Yeah.
businesses.
Yeah, we can do
You
that.
know, yeah, you know, I mean, that would be pretty cool,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know, where
Yeah.
you get a little more for your money.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
So we would need to think about the maximum expenditure for this program. What do we want to?
well, I'm not sure we need to spend anything right now. I think maybe, I know Marla and Jumana and it's getting late too. I forgot your name, Tracy.
Yeah.
Are planning on doing some marketing work together on a couple of different things. Maybe this could just be a top level item where we come back to our October meeting and say, these are some of the ideas we've refined. We can maybe pick a budget item at that point, because we do have time. But maybe we don't necessarily need to allocate money tonight. We do have it in the budget, as you pointed out, but let's refine it a little bit more.
Okay.
But let's make this
Good.
an item for the October
Item for the
agenda.
next.
Okay.
Great idea.
Okay,
Okay, then next item on our agenda is Hurricane Ida relief. I know we've done a lot of speaking and, yeah. Mr. Grillo, I think you had a
Yes.
recap.
If you would pass this along, Tracy. Actually, Ray may have a copy. You wrote it. So everybody has in their packet, it says Explore Millburn Short Hills Hurricane Ida Disaster Recovery Fund worksheet dated today, a draft for discussion. The use of funds we've gone over multiple times tonight. There are a couple questions that have come up, especially from Stephen and Tracy, who've been very involved in this. I just want to go over some of these things before we proceed at looking at the application. Tracy, do you want to talk about the PayPal GoFundMe interface and what's happening, how it happened, what's going to happen going forward?
I'm happy to do that. Okay. So I'll just give a little recap of our part of the fundraising for the Millburn Short Hills Business Recovery Fund. Just as really quick background, I know it's getting late, so I'm going to try to go through this quickly. There was, as we know, such an outpouring of support in the community, volunteering, supplies, but people were immediately reaching out and looking for how can they donate to help businesses, because people felt really devastated by what they were seeing. So I am really proud, as Steve mentioned earlier, based on all of us being in place and communication channels, Steve in place, our board, our 501c3 status. So the great thing was we were able to launch within a day. So on September 2nd, we launched on our website, and is Marla still on? Yes, she is. A huge thank you to Marla. She worked, thank you to Steve for literally working around the clock, but Marla was just working so hard also to help get this up and communicated. September 2nd, we were able to set up a PayPal charity donation process and launch that on our website, and immediately started taking donations literally that day. It was really great to see those start to roll in. The benefit of using PayPal charity is there is lower transaction fees. When you're a charity, it will automatically generate tax letters, things like that. So that's been working really well. And as of 1 o'clock today, we had received more than 600 donations, as you know, which totaled, the PayPal part of it was $106,000. Separately, we had also been looking into GoFundMe, but launching that was going to take a little bit longer. However, we had heard, and Andrew, thanks for giving us the word on the street, that there is like a segment of people that were not comfortable with the PayPal interface and that are just so used to GoFundMe's, and they were going to feel better launching through GoFundMe. So there was a logistical thing or two that needed to get in place with that. But on September 8th, we launched GoFundMe as a second method of donating. So again, all the donations are going into this same Millburn Short Hills Recovery Fund. They're just different entry points. GoFundMe has a lot of great online viral tools. So for the social media online generation, that's something they're comfortable with. So the great thing is, in 2 days of launching on GoFundMe, we raised another $4,000. That's how we get to the 110. And we got a couple of checks. Obviously, good old checks are good as well. And then in addition to that, there are already, Marla and Steve have been in touch with so many people. There are numerous fundraisers being planned. Thank you to some of our board members, and other businesses are giving a certain percentage of sales to the fund. There's a mud ball event being planned in October. Just got a letter from a 5th grader who wants to do a fundraiser. We have been reached out to by corporate representatives who are looking to provide funds. So there's been a lot of really great momentum, and I think, and we think, that we can really aim to get to $200,000 on the funds that we're raising. I would really like to see us get there. So that's the scoop. So basically right now, we have a page on our website, exploremillburnshorthills.org/donate, which is a gateway to the PayPal, which you can do through a credit card, a debit card, or PayPal. We have the GoFundMe, both on that page and on social media, and then people can provide checks as well. So that was a lot of info. Any questions from anybody on this?
With GoFundMe, aren't the fees a little bit more?
You know, they are, well, I'll mention that, let's see, I have my little reference notes here. The GoFundMe charity is just very slightly higher. Yeah, I mean, I can show you some more specific information if you would like, but basically PayPal charity has the lowest fees for donations of $100 or more. GoFundMe charity actually yields a little more for donations under $100, but we're definitely capturing people with GoFundMe we wouldn't otherwise be getting. But I think that's why, so I guess that's good, thank you. Segue to the proposal, which is to actually keep these dual channels up there. Like on our webpage, the PayPal option is first. So it says to donate by credit card, debit card, or PayPal, click here. And then it says, you know, if you would like to donate through GoFundMe, there's a link and then there's checks. So my recommendation from seeing all this data is to keep it that way. The majority, I say, of the 110, the 106 came through PayPal, the 4,000 came through GoFundMe. But again, we're definitely getting people through GoFundMe that we might not have gotten at all.
Right.
So the sum total is positive. That would be the recommendation rather than having just one or the other, because again, PayPal is technically speaking for donations over $100, which is most of the donation. 100 or more is a little better on fees. But the GoFundMe, if you didn't have it, there'd be people you'd be missing.
Are we going to eventually send out something, a thank you? I know you get a automatic, like.
Yes,
you know, a
definitely,
bleep.
yes.
You got something of a bleep, but.
Yeah, we're gonna send
Yeah,
more formal letters and thank yous. And we also want to remind people about matching gifts, like a lot of companies offer
Yeah.
matching gifts, and we
Yeah.
want to remind them of that. But yeah, we're gonna coordinate on the thank yous with Steve and Marla.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry.
oh no, I was gonna ask, should we have a motion to ratify the creation of the two online? I don't know if we need to.
Yeah,
I know that's why I'd be ratifying the actions of setting them up, and I don't know if it's needed. No?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do just want to make two comments. The first one is, we talked about some of the other fundraisers that folks are doing. Lots of businesses, including Jumana, are donating portions of their proceeds, and Nadej as well. I know of a couple of others. I mean, I'm getting calls daily about people that want to do that kind of stuff. And so it's a question of longevity and scalability of this, right? We do know that the generous $220,000 is finite. That was made very clear by Councilmember Vinayak tonight. But he was very strict about that. But, just so I know, Mr. Grillo, like he thought it was like my money. We do need to think about, we're going to have our own funds. We can carry this for months and months and months because that's what businesses are going to need. And this is not going to go away when all these checks are given out. And so, fundraisers and proceeds that are coming from sales, that's all incredible ways for us to build up this fund. And so I'm just so thankful that so many community groups have engaged us. And the other thing is, Tracy was an absolute hero. There is no way, shape, or form that I would have been able to set up this fund or Marla in the time that we did. We were knee deep in mud on the ground, and it had to be done. It had to be done by someone who knew how to do it. In less than 24 hours, she set up an account, and we've raised over $100,000. And so I am indebted to what you've done. It was.
Everyone was literally in the mud. So I was like, I can help by being here at my computer for hours trying to figure this out. So I'm glad.
I want
that
to
it
thank
came
you also
together.
from the township, and I want to thank Steve. Just in my comings and goings, I'd see Steve running down the street and it just made me feel good that he was running somewhere. Not to make too much light of it, but you were the rubber really hit the road, and I'm so proud of everybody that's helping the Sid, help the community, and really I just want to tell you, the committee members, my colleagues were so we're so thrilled that we're up and running and helping the businesses, and we have the foresight to make this happen. So I just want to thank everybody here.
And thanks to the committee for supporting us in so many ways. Couple of other items. So you all have a copy of the application, the draft application in front of you. I don't want to review it tonight because it's late and I want everyone to have some time to digest it. Marla and I are going to be working on setting up the Google document tomorrow and social media. If you have any comments or thoughts, this has been reviewed by Ray and Ryan. So the legalities are fine. Just would love any input that you can send via email, just on ideas. So let's not talk about it tonight. Let's digest it and we can discuss. You can send it to me tomorrow.
Steve,
Check signing.
can you email a copy? Because I don't see it in the documents.
Yeah, I just got it. I don't know why I'm talking to the TV like you're there. Yeah, I just got it. So I'll send that to you as well.
Thank you.
The other thing is check signing requirements. I assume, Stephen, that we want to keep the same requirements. All of these checks will be in excess of $1,000. That requires my signature and then one signature of a board member. So if everyone is okay with that, then we're just
Yeah, I
gonna.
think it was executive committee member, as I recall. Was it just? a
Well,
board member?
there's only 3 other signers. It's you, Michael, and Tracy. with
Right,
the
right,
executive.
right.
So
exactly.
$1,000 check, well, actually any check can be signed by me and then one of you 3. So that if that's the process, then we'll stick with that and everybody's okay. We're not going to deviate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Is that
Tracy,
the-
you wanted to talk a little bit about developing a Google group of volunteers and not-for-profits and WhatsApp. Do you still want to discuss that, or you think that we've crossed that bridge?
Well, I guess I'll just mention that, just that I say everyone here was like literally in the mud and I was more, helping field questions and inquiries. We have, as you said, just been in touch with so many different groups. And I did want to mention, just because this was asked earlier, in terms of helping residents, down the block is the 501c3, and they have, really been amping up their messaging that they are available to help residents. And I think people know, Joanna Parker Lenz and Nicole Richter have kind of been control central on, we've been focused on the businesses. I mean, they've been focused on the volunteers and on the residents, but everyone has been, thank you to Steve and Marla, because everyone's really been masterfully coordinating together.
Can I piggyback on that? Because I wrote down the same exact thing down the block, Joanna Parker Lentz. Some of the schools also helped. There was staging at the library for the residents. But I was curious about in the township committee, like what was put in place for the residents who were badly affected in the South Mountain.
Yeah, well,
Aside from these
there's-
sort of things that.
I think that, we discussed that and we had legal advice on that. And unfortunately, the way the law is set up,
Yeah.
we're, part of our charter is to help businesses, but
Not explore, but I meant from the TC.
yeah, but in terms of the TC, even there's a tremendous amount. I would say that there's a tremendous amount of interest I would just say that everybody on the TC really would love to, set aside money or do something to help the residents, especially in South Mountain.
Right.
Unfortunately, our legal counsel has told us that according to the legislature, we're not able to do that. We're not able to give money, directly or through, it's not like the SID. So we're precluded from doing that. With that, I can't give you the legal answer, but we can't do it.
Okay. Just curious about that.
Okay.
Sorry, Tracy.
I'll just mention one last thing, and I promise I will stop talking. Just an FYI, Happy Millburn is hosting a Happy Millburn happy hour to update everyone on current events tomorrow at 6 p.m. And they invited us to be a part of that conversation. So Steve and I can be given a few minutes to give some updates from our ends. So just want to make sure everybody feels comfortable with that. Steve, I was just mentioning the Happy Millburn
I'll be there.
invite.
I'm
And
bringing my kids at 6 o'clock on Friday.
they should be there with you. I think they should be.
Where
It's a live stream. It'll be on the Happy Millburn site on a live stream. I'll send everybody this. They literally just planned it today. They were messaging us like a little bit before the meeting. So I just wanted to check that everybody felt comfortable with that. I think it's a great way for us to get the word out even further about what we've done, the funds that are still needed. So I think it's a really great opportunity.
It's a nice gesture.
Yeah,
And
So-
tomorrow, 9 a.m.,
Yeah.
our esteemed attorney, Ray, will be doing a webinar for local businesses about insurance issues. So thank you for signing up to do that. That's going to be on Zoom, and Marla and Jesse are going to be organizing that for us.
Do people have to sign up for that?
Nope.
Or no, they could just Zoom in anytime. Okay.
Steve, do we cover general discussion on fund operations? Okay.
And then
So-
we need the
Is it
rest.
on, distribution of the funds or that you're talking about for this?
No, well, it was the next item on the agenda.
Well, this
Yeah,
was
and I
Steve said we should look at and come back to him, right? Is that what you said? This thing, we should send him our thoughts. Yeah.
I think she's talking about this worksheet draft for discussion that was. in
We
the
just went through
packet.
that.
We did.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but I just had a question. Okay, fine.
Oh.
But I was just curious about, flag.
Flag, yes, what about?
So are we, sorry, with flag, so I've also been, Shannon Cross has reached out to me as well, so I was just curious, are we working with flag in any way or trying to, join efforts with them and, also not like duplicate efforts in some ways?
Yeah, so Flag has been a pretty interesting and quick progression. So I had recruited a group of navigators, folks that could assist people with applications. She had done the same thing, and so we decided just to combine efforts. She's now sort of taken that over and it's
She
kind of
meaning Shannon.
Shannon, I apologize.
Yeah.
Shannon's sort of taken that over. And so she's getting people to ask questions and need a navigators, and she's then sort of assigning them out to this list we have. I'm doing the same, but it seems like she's getting more questions than we are, which is fine.
Well, they've been established longer.
Yeah, and so I know she's also she received a $200,000 grant for restaurants to provide meals to other not-for-profits or other groups. I don't want to.
Also volunteers and I think different.
Yeah.
and She's thinking of distributing it differently than last time.
Right, and so we've been going back and forth, just kind of sharing general information. So I would say, yes, we're working together, but we're not formally doing anything together. But she and I have been speaking every day. Yeah, and that's also, we want to make sure we're not duplicating efforts. So, yeah, but we have been going back and forth daily.
Last item, well, no, not last item. Next item is actually a resolution related to that new bank account that Steve had brought up. It's in your packet. I can just read it very quickly. It is resolution 21-010. It says resolve that Millburn Short Hills Business Organization Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the creation of an additional bank account for the purposes stated herein and authorizes Steve Grillo, Michael Parlavecchio, myself, and Tracy Katz Levine as signers on the same of the Investor Savings Bank. So this is that new account we would like to set up that would be solely dedicated to the receipt of donated monies. And that way it would keep it from being commingled with our regular budget monies. And it'll help with audit and tracking of receipt and expenses. So if do I hear a motion?
Motion.
And second,
Second.
can I get a roll call, please?
Jemima Culligan,
Yes.
Tracy Katzlevine, yes. Andrew Morgan,
Yes.
Nadej Nickel,
Yes.
Richard Wasserman,
Yes.
Stephen Weiner.
Yes. That brings us to board comments. Any further comments? Board members, anybody?
I have a lot of comments, so.
You had a busy
So I've had a busy week and I just, so bear with me because they're gonna be convoluted and long and whatever and not organized because I didn't write them down. But firstly, I just wanted to say thank you to the township in general, the volunteers that came out to help. I mean, first thing in the morning, Thursday morning when I'm, actually even before Thursday morning, on Wednesday night, Steve, thank you for keeping me, sorry, it's very emotional and my phone is ringing nonstop. it was emotional watching everything. I was literally watching on the Weather Channel live, the water rushing down Millburn Ave, and I was just, I couldn't believe it. Just, gobsmacked. At the same time, my husband's telling me in my other ear, our sump pump is broken. So it was a lot to take in, and I immediately texted Steve and, whoever. And it became pretty clear by, I think, 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. that it was just like, it was a lost cause. But by 8 a.m., I think there were people on the ground, and I guess in Vicky's case, she was there even earlier, and boots on the ground, literally welly boots up and down Millburn Ave. People mobilized so fast, and it was really impressive. And it was just, I fell in love with our community all over again. I've been here for 11 years, so we went through Irene and Sandy, ice storms and power outages, and this is still, I think the worst flooding since I've been here. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. Alex was great. Alex McDonald was wonderful. Steve, again, thank you. Tracy, everybody reached out. They were amazing. And then I just, again, wanted to say thank you to Explore just for being on top of things. And I felt like, wow, this is why we're here, and I was so glad like the 501c3 came in just in time. And anyway, so that's that with regards to the actual, immediate response. Then the following days, when I finally got here around 3 o'clock, obviously it was just like, working to clear out the store. My store was kind of cleared out pretty quickly. On Friday and Saturday, I started talking to other business owners, and my heart goes out to everybody. There's just businesses up and down Millburn Avenue that have just really just lost everything. So I know we've seen it. We've all been on the ground. We've seen it, and I've seen it, but there's still a lot of people who don't quite get it and don't quite understand that they've literally lost everything. A river just went right through Basilico, Millburn Forest, and just took out everything. So I just don't want people to forget. Like, I launched that Millburn Strong thing just because it was, those first 2 days were great. After that, like, people forget. So I just keep reminding people to shop local, support these businesses. I just also wanted to shout out a couple like amazing things that I saw. There was turned out I didn't even know he was my neighbor. He was in Basilico, this guy Jeff, who was in back of Basilico just washing their dishes for hours and hours. Just, they were, it was just incredible. There were the kids from Washington School who showed up in droves, offering sandwiches, waters, food. What can we do? What can we help? How can we help? I thought that was amazing. There were high school students. A lot of kids were off school, so they came out, and my store was filled with middle school and high school students just shoveling mud. I had about 4 feet of water in my store that went right through the store. It took everything out. Same thing with Chocolate Works. Same thing with the house salon next to me. Goldberg's we all saw on TV, and there were students, I can't name them all, but there were so many, and they did so much work. My customers, amazing. They brought their little kids on Saturday, and they started demoing like the rotted and wet drywall in the store. I'm like, guys, this is not even, it was just amazing. Our landlord, Bruce Jeffrey, was there for 3 full days, up and down the block doing things and setting up some people in a new temp location. So shout out to him as well. One of my close friends, Mike Davis was there helping Goldberg's for hours. He was in the back of my store. He's in the back of Chocolate Works, power washing, machinery. So thank you to him and his entire family who came out and helped. I know I'm forgetting so many people. Stephen Taylor was at Goldberg's also for hours. I can't, there's no way I'll be able to remember everybody. Some acts of kindness were just incredible. Even just, I think one was Ms. Pasternak mentioned was, Enzo's came over and lent Silvio generator. His store was filling up with water. Silvio from Bocconi slept in his store all night. So although most of the devastation clearly was downtown, Upper Millburn also flooded their basements on that whole side. Every basement down that block flooded. Stone and Tile Design, their basement flooded. The Taste Buddy, their basement flooded. So, you know, and they were all in it too. They were all helping each other out. And then I think also Gene Marcos brought pizzas there to everybody. I mean, it was just, I know I'm forgetting a lot of people, but I just really, it was warmed my heart to see that. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. I'm sorry, I know I'm forgetting lots of people, but that's it for me for right now.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, it makes me proud to be part of this organization. Obviously, we have a business in town, but you know, we weren't hurt as badly as clearly some other businesses were. But yeah, thank you. Clearly, Steve and Tracy and everybody, it's just a privilege working with everybody here. And the reaction time was amazing. I mean, I felt like we were in the right spot at the right time and activated and immediately set up a GoFundMe, you know, the PayPal fundraisers and it's just amazing. It really is.
Forgot to mention Joanna Parker Lentz and Nicole Richter, who've been, you know, tireless efforts and, you know, the list can go on and on and on, but I probably should have prepared that list, but. Anyway.
I mean, they wouldn't even, we had volunteers show up for our basement.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even give us, like, we didn't know everybody. And we
Yeah.
said, please, like, let us know who you are so we can later, like, you know, do something. They wouldn't even do that. They just
Right.
came, they showed up with shovels and
Yeah.
worked and disappeared. It's like, wow, you know, we had like at least a dozen people
Yeah.
that showed up.
Yeah.
So,
And I just also want to piggyback that Joanna Parker Lentz and Nicole Richter, incredible, just incredible, just day in and day out, hours and hours. You know, I was going up and down the street, but they were there. They were there, you know, doing their thing, directing the troops, and they were, you know, indispensable. And I also want to give a shout out to Millburn's own DPW, our police,
absolutely.
our police, our fire department. I want to tell you that, you know, one of the things that was not discussed was the number of lives saved. I mean, our community was very lucky. But I saw firsthand the cherry pickers taking people, you know, out of restaurants, and they saved a lot of lives, and our gratitude to them, you know, and they worked through the night as did our professionals. So just a big shout out to them. We live in a very special community, and I'm also very proud to be with you.
Thank you.
And
Anybody else?
I forgot to.
Well,
I didn't know if you
Go
guys
for it.
did.
Yeah.
But there were, you know, there was in the Thai house, the 6 people who were working there that evening were trapped inside the restaurant. I think similar situation at Pliables. The people at Thai house had to climb through the ceiling to escape and went out Highline. So, I mean, just incredible acts like that. I mean, they're just really just kind of, and again, I know they're not watching, but my friends who came out first thing in the morning and calling me on FaceTime, they said, are you sitting down? I'm not going to name them, but they know who they are. They're just unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, you all said better what I was gonna say, but I'll just I guess I'll just say that it may not well be known, but I was actually kind of a skeptic when I was told this whole thing was going to be formed, and you know, having lived through the DMDA, I had my doubts, but I can only tell you that the 501c3 came through on time. I know we've said that, but as a business who is relatively successful and we do all right, and I can tell you this is our 3rd flood, and this is by far the worst. You know, it's sometimes difficult to complain because I look to my right and Basilico's entire 1st floor was demolished. And I look across the street and Goldberg's is gone. But I can tell you that this is going to stretch us. Like, this is, you know, we were in the process of building out a Montclair store. And so we have flood insurance and we're getting nothing. it's all out of pocket. I mean, we filled a full 30-yard dumpster and then 4 8-yard dumpsters of stuff that we had emptied our 3 business. All of this is to say that I will tell you that Explore is probably, well, hopefully, going to be the only money that we get from anybody for this. So I know there were some comments earlier about why is this being rushed and why is I don't, as a business owner, the panic you feel, and I'm sure Juma and anybody else on this board can relate, the panic you feel when you know 30 people are depending on you and you're looking at your payroll, and Explore is necessary. And so I will just, the only thing I'll say is Tracy, Steve, everybody was amazing to turn around things the way they did. I never even met the people who ran the DMDA and all the years they were here, and you guys were in my store. And yeah, if there are people out there, I guess my final message, if you're who doubt the necessity of this organization, I can tell you that they're wrong.
I wholeheartedly agree with them because same, I don't have flood insurance and I'll be fine, but like some of these other, I just can't, I don't know. And you know what, these businesses are part of our community and we want them to stay. So, that's all I have to say.
I just want to make a few comments. First off, the 2 people that are not going to get credit in this because they do their jobs really, really well are Alex and Jesse. Those guys were here around the clock. The morning that I came in at 7 a.m., they've been here the whole time. And they have been just the consummate professionals. And I think everyone in this town needs to know that the business administrator and his assistant BA are absolute professionals. And we are very, very fortunate to have them. Jamie Ceruto was the first call I got that morning, probably predictably. But he had said, hey, how do I get scouts down there? Are you going to be in town hall? Tell us where to go. And I was on the phone with him all day, sending his people around. So Jamie, incredible piece of this community's future. I want to recognize him. DPW as well. They don't get enough credit. Usually I annoy them by telling them they have to go put electrical wires for, bands. And now I see what they're really capable of. It's a lot more than electrical wires and moving tables. These guys, they risk their lives. They risk their safety doing some really tricky stuff out there and incredible work. And then my colleague, Marla Itzkin, was with me every step of the way, working remotely, working round the clock. They say you don't sort of truly love someone until you're really challenged. We were challenged, and I love this place. And this is an incredible community. I've never seen a community work the way that this community did. It is absolutely amazing. And so I'm very fortunate to be in the position I'm in. I'm very fortunate that you've given me the opportunity to do this. And this is a really terrible situation, but we're going to make something amazing out of this. And it's because this is a town of 20,000 plus people who are individually remarkable. So I'm looking forward to the future and what we're going to do.
Anybody else? Great way to. If you
want to.
no, hearing no further comments, it's terrific, and I guess we can adjourn. So, do I need a motion? I need a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Any second? Voice vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, my.